So, the three things to look for on election night, apart from the overall result. Your preferences pick the government. This is the case because both of the parties' primary vote is somewhere in the mid-30s. If that's the case, Labor needs a supercharged Greens to get over the line. And you, if you vote for a Freedom Party with your number 2, can stop the revolution, delay it by 3 more years, hold on to the country that you love. But you can't do that by putting them all last. You've got to pick them as number 2. Because if preference discipline exists in this election as it did in the last, the government will be returned. You muck around with your vote, you get elbow. So no complaining on Monday if that's the result. If you go Freedom, that's fine. That's your right. But you've got to pick a government higher than put them all last. I say government goes number 2. Why do I say that your preferences matter? Let's look at the data, including the latest news poll. I couldn't care less about two-party preferred. It's guessing at this point in time. So let's have a look. News poll, Essential, Resolve. They show that the Liberals have got 35, 34, 36, basically mid-30s. You have a look at the Labor Party vote. It is 31, 36, 35. Get the point? None of that gets you close to 40. Even if you assume, all of the Greens vote drops in, it's not going to be the case. When you have a look at the Greens vote, it's anywhere between 9, 12, 14, 13%. And not 100% of those preferences end up going to the Labor Party. About 80% do. But then when you start to look at the One Nation vote, which is way higher than this in certain seats in certain states, but the national vote right now, and by the way, Pauline absolutely deserves your vote in the Senate. And if you want to build a Freedom ticket, choose your own adventure below the line. There are some great options in Queensland. Pauline and Amanda Stoker and Matt Canavan all absolutely deserve your support. Also, Campbell Newman, all the people we've had on the show, okay? So 5, 4, 6. Add that with the Palmer vote, which again, could be higher and is higher in Western Sydney, outer Melbourne, suburban Brisbane, 3%, 4%. Guess what you start to see here? You start to see that if you put the government second, you stop Albo. You put them all in the same bucket at 23, 24, 25 on your ballot paper, you're going to get Albo. So if you are truly into freedom, how can you pick the bloke who says he wants more COVID restrictions versus the guy who says he will continue to stand up against China, to continue to fight the power of the UN? It couldn't be clearer. Also worth noting here too is the undecided factor. Now, this is still at play. Now, remember, yes, has half the country already voted early? Sure. But apart from the fact that millions of people will vote tomorrow, 7% are apparently undecided in the Essential. They don't put that number in News Poll. 14% in Resolve and 5% in Ipsos. So any clown who tells you they know what TPP is are talking out their ass. Nothing is inevitable. Media is about narrative. Narrative is about good guy, bad guy. Your vote is about the future. Your vote is a recognition that a meteorite hit this country in the past 3 years, and we ended up with fewer deaths than places like Canada that went harder than us, fewer deaths than Sweden that went easier than us, where the unemployment rate is the lowest in 50 freaking years, where JobKeeper meant that people from the smallest of businesses were able to keep their doors open, versus a blank cheque and a pushover who's run by the Greens, the Mean Girls, and whatever Twitter says. The second thing to have a look at here too is some seats are going to surprise. Now, again, the media narrative here is that Labor wins everything and then just takes from the coalition. It's not going to happen. It's not true, because your preferences pick the government, and in the seats where there's a high vote of the Freedom parties, you can flip a previously safe Labor seat. That's the reality. So let's have a look at the hit list here. So Labor thinks that they are a chance in Bass, Chisholm, Boothby, Braddon, Reid, Swan, Longman, Higgins, Leichhardt, Robertson, Brisbane, Pearce, Flinders. All of those, your preference can stop that hit list from taking place. Meantime, the Liberal Party think that they can not just defend but pick up Places like Macquarie, Lilly, Eden Monero, Cowan, Corangamite, Blair, Dobell, Gilmore, Dunkley, Hunter, Parramatta, Lingiari, even Werriwa. Because if there's a high freedom vote, those preferences can deliver stability to the country versus more when it comes to the mad left. And third and finally, and I need to really explain this to people because I don't want any BS once we deal with Monday. Election night is going to feel a little bit weird because a lot of people have voted early. So you might see one party ripping away on election night, but that lead is going to get pulled back by the early vote, particularly the postal votes. For example, the seats with the highest early vote. Now, this was based off yesterday. I don't have numbers from today. Forgive me, but have a look at this. More than half of all people have voted in Longman, Eden Monero, Gilmore, Hawke, and then 50-50 with Fowler. Come on, Daly, baby. Come on, Daly, baby. Chisholm, Wentworth, Menzies, Higgins, Corangamite, Patterson, Lilly. And in terms of the postal votes, they don't even get touched till Sunday, which means when you have seats with, have a look at this, 23% of the vote that is in an envelope that can't be opened till Sunday, you might see one person running away on Saturday, but on Sunday it's going to start to run back. In Chisholm, Brisbane, Lilly, Higgins, Kooyong, Corangamite, Longman, Curtin, Pearce. Do you get my point? Your preferences matter, and it's going to be one hell of a late night.